for me, today I can still feel every emotion that came with that role. There's so many things that kind of happen like in life that it was something. See, it's like it's real, man. It's like it's part of your life, I think, forever. So yeah.
Welcome in to Menfolk Journeys, the podcast of great conversations with men. I'm your host, Chris Foster, and we're going to explore how we wear this beautiful and confusing mantle of manhood in the 21st century. Look, I get it. In public life, a lot of men are knuckleheads. But in private life, we can be thoughtful and we can be reflective if we have the right conversation and if we feel comfortable talking about our story. And we all have a great story to tell. And we can all learn from those stories. We can learn about who we've been, who we are, and who we want to be. And that's why we're going to have this podcast, and that's why we're going to have this conversation, so we can learn from other men just like us. And in this episode, we're going to talk with my new friend, Troy. God, this guy has the biggest heart. And he went on a journey that most of us never embark on, right? A life within the performing arts, a life of trusting himself that he had the talent to make it happen. And he did. He completely made it happen. Went through adversity, as he calls some of the dark times, but he came out an unbelievable, loving person that I think carried him through his performing career. And now as a loving father and entrepreneur, he's taking that to the next chapters of his own life. I hope you enjoy this conversation. It's amazing. Welcome in to Menfolk Journeys. Well, all right. Well, Troy Horne, welcome in.
Well, thank you for having me, man. This is really cool. I'm excited. This will be cool.
I'm really excited. So tell us a bit about yourself.
Oh, so, I'm a musician, dad, entrepreneur, and, I really have been really lucky, I think through a lot of life, being able to do some of the things that I did. And started on Broadway, wrote books, started businesses. But most importantly, I'm a dad and a husband. And I guess, depending, who's in the room, which one comes first? No, husband and dad. Definitely.
So, you glossed over the idea that you're on Broadway and the first thing you said though, Troy, is that, and I love this, you say that you're very lucky. Why do you feel very lucky?
I feel lucky because it's interesting. It's an interesting way to kind of say it. I think because I was able to just kind of go after things despite being told that they were impossible. I think a lot of us have that ability. I was just lucky not to know any better in some of those moments. So, that persistence and that fearlessness in those moments, plus, being able to, kind of do what was needed for the job, was, I think, what made me lucky.
So outside of the skills, being able to do what you needed to do, the fearlessness piece of it is something that not everybody has. Some people are reticent, they're shy. Where does that fearlessness come from? Was that always in you? Was it innate?
I'm learning that it's part of being a Virgo, I guess, at some point. But I think it was just, I was more ornery and more like defiant than anything else, than being fearless. I was that kid that was like, if someone said, you can't do that, I was like, oh, well, I know exactly what I'm doing. You said I can't do.
So that's so interesting because, there are kids who, when they say you can't do that, oh really, you're probably right, I probably shouldn't, I shouldn't even try, where you were defiant and almost, I don't know, call it a survival instinct or call it something about you that you were like, no, if you're going to tell me no, that's exactly what I'm going to that's exactly what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to Now, did you see that in other people in your life, or was that just you?
I must have seen it modeled, as a young person. And I
Hmm.
think, looking back at my mom and, it definitely, if anything, would have come from her, like,
Okay.
just stoicness and, like just being steadfast in her ideals. So, I probably saw that, as a kid, but
Sure.
I definitely grabbed onto it.
So
Definitely.
I'm sure that there's something about that was modeled, whether it was conscious or unconscious, right? You
Right.
just saw she carried
Right.
herself. So um,
Yeah.
I'm really curious because you went into Broadway. Very few
Mhm.
people on planet Earth actually have a career in the performing arts, right? Some might study it
Mm,
and practice it and try to get
yeah.
there, but very few people actually get there. It's like being a baseball player, right? The air gets pretty
Yeah.
thin
Yeah.
when you try to get through it. So when you started, did you feel like you belonged there, or were you in a moment where you were trying to prove every day, imposter syndrome? Tell me a bit about that.
So I watched this documentary about Pele, who's like this soccer player for any
Sure.
well, on Xbox stuff. Everyone knows who Pele is. But it was funny because he said someone asked him, now that you've had all these awards and won all these World Cups and blah blah, are you playing for fun? And he said, no. He goes, every time I get on the field, I am terrified. And it was like,
Oh.
and so I say that because it's like when I first got on there, I was like, did I feel like I belonged? No, no. These people are absolutely amazing. I was sitting here. It's like the guy that was before me, his voice was absolutely ridiculous. So I'm like, okay, yeah. So I'm here, and I get this. You're always thinking, is this the day they're gonna find me out and then say, we knew it, you know?
Oh, is this the
But
day they'll
here's what.
discover I'm not
Yes,
they thought I
yes,
was? Oh
yes,
man.
yes, yes. But let me tell you something, guys. Like that day never comes. It's a friend of mine
Mm.
said, imposters don't get imposter syndrome. And that resonated with me because it's like if you're feeling that feeling, it's like there's something in you that actually belongs there. It's like if you're an imposter, it's like you know you're not supposed to be there. So it's like you're doing all the things to, show that you do. But it's like imposters don't have imposter syndrome was something that I heard someone say that really, you know, resonated with me. So hopefully that helps some.
Yeah, I bet it would. Now, how old were you when you decided, like, yes, you love to sing, you're good at it. People say, "Oh my God, Troy, you've got a great voice," or "Oh my gosh, you're magnetic. You should be on stage. You're so charismatic." Blah blah blah. When did you think? I mean, I'm sure you got that when you were a little kid, right? You're handsome, you got a good voice and stuff. When did you decide? I could actually do this for a living. When was that? Do you remember that moment?
It was, yeah, I was 10, 11 or so. And I was singing around the house. And again, my mom was like, you're going to sing in church this Sunday. And I was like, no, I'm not. And she's like, yes, you are. And she
there
put
was
me in.
there was no debate about that. Right? They said that's a decision, not a debate. You're singing
Right.
at church on
Right.
Sunday.
Exactly.
Period.
Exactly. I'm telling you this is what's happening. So I get up there and I sing with my sisters and I was terrified, the whole heart's beating so hard that you can hear it in your ears, like
Wow.
terrified. But after I got done, they gave me a standing ovation and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of, my life. It
Yeah.
was like, this is it. And so that was the moment really that kind of put me on the path of figuring out how to do this for the rest of my life.
That's awesome. And as you started to go through, what kind of encouragement or discouragement did you get?
So good. I love this question. This is great. So encouragement again from my dad was like really big in entrepreneurship. He was like, if you can build your own thing. He told me that from a kid. And I never really understood it until I kind of got older. So he was like, you want to do singing or whatever you want to do, build your own thing. And my mom was like, go after it and go make it happen. And so they were both very encouraging when I was in middle school. I think when I became a high schooler and I was like, I'm moving to LA, after in college, I was like, I'm moving to LA. They were like, Yeah, we said that, but
We said that when you were 12. Now when
right,
you're
right.
22.
Like, I don't. So, but yeah, they planted that seed, and so, I was really, I guess that going back to the lucky thing, that I was really lucky to have them say, go do it, go give it a shot, go try it, So
yeah, it's interesting, Troy, because other environments, I mean, the story is as old as time. Other environments and parental environments would say, no, 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 no. That's fine for you to dream about, and it's fine for you to have fun with, but you're going to get a business, or you're going to do this, you're going to get a job, or whatever it is. There must have been, well, actually, it's a question. Did you think that there was then this emotional safety net or support for you, that if you went after it and you just went for it and you failed, that would still be okay?
Emotionally, yes, but I can be very honest in saying monetarily, no.
Roger.
My parents were like, it's like, we love you and you can go do this, but as soon as I left high school, it was like, you kind of need to put this together yourself. So at 17, 18, I was really lucky to get a full ride scholarship to college, which I quickly blew because my high school girlfriend broke up with me. And so I was on academic probation and lost all my scholarships and anything like that. But,
that's a broken heart for you. That'll do it.
Yeah. So I was like, but ever since then, they were like, we support you, emotionally, but you got to put this together and you got to figure it out. So, yes, on the emotional support, no on the financial support.
But actually, that might have been the best thing, right? Because one of the things that I think that some parents, especially modern parents, are doing now, is that I think it's a mistake, is that they don't allow their children to fail or to struggle or to figure things out for themselves. And looking back, that must have been a benefit, right?
100%. Knowing that there wasn't anyone coming to save, it was like, yeah, you need it definitely helped me figure it out.
Yeah, there's the Sun Tzu book, The Art of War. I don't know if you're familiar with it. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Burn the boats. You burn the boats. And if your back's up against the wall, the army's coming, and you burn the boats, you've got nothing to do but fight.
And humans are amazing in those situations. I've heard multiple stories of people being in that situation where they're like, this has to work. There's not like, there's no plan B because this has to work. And having them like, obviously there are ups and downs through that this has to work moment, but they always find a way because there is no out. It's like, this has to go. And we as human beings have a real innate ability to survive, and I think that's surviving.
Yeah. So walk me through that. Then you pursue a life and a career, not just a life, but you pursue a career in the performing arts. I love this,
arts. By the way.
Awesome. Dude, yeah, you're awesome. So you pursue a career in performing arts. Where was that first job? And even though I know you said earlier, hey, do I really belong here? I don't really felt like I belong here. Was there a place where you first landed that first gig where you're like, yeah, I think I can do this? Did that happen for you mentally? Did you say, yeah, this is something I can do?
Yeah, another back against the wall situation. So I go to LA because my cousin invited me out to stay with him for like a week or two or a month or two until I got on my feet, right? So I go out there and I'm coming over the pass and I immediately feel like this energy because I'm calling, like, I'm here, how do I get to your house and blah, blah, blah.
Dude, it's LA. Come on. I mean, this is LA. You feel it, right?
Yeah. And so I've got my Thomas guide or a AAA map because, we didn't have whatever back then. So I'm reading the AAA map and, coming to his house. Anyways, long story short, a week after being there, he goes, here's the backstage. That's where you find work. And like a week after being there, he goes, so we're looking to adopt this child, and our social worker said you can't live here, so you need to go find some place to live. And I'm like, I've been here for like a week. So back against the wall, I look in there and there's a caroling audition for Disney's Fantasy Parade or whatever. Drive to Anaheim, never been to Anaheim before, go down there and I audition. And, I'm quickly picking up the cues because I'm coming from college. So I'm thinking,
Right.
you got to sing this way. You have your thing, your support and all this other stuff. And I'm noticing that I'm still being helped through, but they're not like kind of excited. They're kind of like, okay, yeah, you too, and I'm like, okay, what are the other people doing that I'm not doing? And they were just singing like pop musicians.
Roger.
So I'm like, okay, let's do that. Long story short, I do that. I get the job. So
nice.
I start
at Disneyland, right?
I needed it because I had to find a place to live.
That's right, baby. That's awesome.
Yes. So I figured, when I got that, I was like, I'm sitting around and, there are all these people that have known each other and that are working all these things and have these commercials and all this stuff. And I'm singing with them. And that was the first moment I was like, look, I got this job and I'm singing with them. I kind of belong here. Okay, we can do this.
Yeah. Yeah, you got your first job. So my two daughters both went to performing arts high school here in San Diego called San Diego Creative Performing Arts Academy. So it's a public school, but it's an audition only performing arts school.
Oh, so good.
It was so good. And my youngest daughter pursued dance, and she's a dancer. My oldest daughter is a singer, a jazz singer. Some really great opportunities for both of them. But in the mix of it, while they're not doing it for livelihood, they both do this now for love or passion. They do know some folks who went on. And one of my youngest daughter's friends got a job in the cruise ships.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Being a singer on a cruise ship, right? So she did that for the first part. And it was, goods and bads, but mostly good, right? Or getting her chops. And now she's kind of hustling and trying to get parts in New York and, traveling, Broadway shows and things like that. But it's cool to kind of see her start that journey. I'm sure your parents are now, I kind of want to look back at the young 20 Troy, in Disneyland singing a cappella, trying to say, okay, now I've got this. I guess the question was, well, now what?
Yeah. So it was seasonal.
Awesome.
So yeah, immediately after Christmas, I was like, holy crap.
Oh, you're right. It was a holiday a cappella seasonal, bro.
Yeah. But here's where life, like, just by taking that thing and saying, look, I'm going to figure out, life is amazing in helping you. There's this saying that says, once you make the decision, like, life will fall in line to help you get whatever it is that you want. So I used to work at the Gallup polls in Houston. So I'm looking for music work, but I can't find any. I'm like, I need something really quick because this ends like January. I like, this is over. And I find this place called Adept Consumer Testing in the Valley. So now I'm driving from Anaheim to the Valley to do this thing. Here's the cool part about that. I'm working there and I meet just some friends that, both of us were starting off our career and in life. And that friend that I met at Adept Consumer Testing is Octavia Spencer, who ended up being like Oscar winner, like starring in The Help and all these other things.
That
and
Octavia Spencer.
Yeah.
I was like, wait a minute, I know that. Oh my gosh, that's a friend to meet.
Right. But we were brand new. None of us knew anything that was going to happen.
Right.
But it's just interesting that, our paths crossed, in that search to find, our careers, It was really kind of interesting to think that,
That is, and so at that time, were you thinking long term, or were you thinking like gig to gig, like the next? I've got to get a next setup, and what was that next setup then? How did you start, getting performance roles?
That after that, I think this happens all the time when you set your goals on doing something. That was the Dark Night of the Soul was right after the Christmas fantasy thing, where the universe goes, okay, so. You said you want this, but do you really? So we're going to find out. So now you're going to be, caregiver, whatever it is that you fill the things with in between. And during that time was that time of like, working odd jobs and really going, how am I going to make this happen? I don't know anyone. How do I figure this out? and meeting people that were kind of in the same boat along the way.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in those moments of trying to figure it out, that's when it became, okay, now I have a band. Now we're, looking for a record deal. We're getting managers. We're getting signed to, a small label, and life happens. But it was on the other side of, the proverbial dark night of the soul.
Yeah, and that's, man, I think in the performance space that there's a lot of that, right? Everyone's got to go into the valley where it's the unknown. The only one I heard this. Oh goodness, what was her name? Was it Doris Day? Might have been Doris Day, where they interviewed her and she said, yeah, she was doing a vacation trip to New York City, and she saw that there was an audition for a Rodgers and Hammerstein show, so she just did it and got the job, and then that was it for her career. And they realized that you realize it never happens. Like, that's the 1 in 9 billion thing. Other than that, the idea of having the faith in yourself that you could make a living on your art and make a living on your skill in this challenging area. What Troy got you through that dark night of the soul? Like, what did you tell yourself and have to tell yourself to get you through that?
Yeah. The boats were burned. It was like, dude, you can't go. I mean, you can go home, but what are you going to do there? So it was like, you have to make this happen. And I think, Octavia had that moment as well. I'll never forget. We used to like complain about the industry, as young people do, oh, they don't have this for me. They can't do this. And this person's not as good as I am. And they got this part because they know this direct, all that stuff that we do as young people, young performers. Right. So one evening, I'll never forget, we were watching South Park because we were just like into watching South Park when it came out. Cause back then it was, it was the thing.
It was the thing to watch. Yeah.
Yeah. And she was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to go out and meet people and network and figure out how to do this for real. And I will never forget that she was like, do you want to come? And I was still in my dumb phase of like, no, I'm going to, I want to find the big managers and all this other stuff, but I'm going to wait for them to, come discover me and all that stuff. In her Oscar speech, she thanks the guy that she told me that we need to go meet, back when we were nobodies. He was a production assistant at the time and all that stuff, but she thanks him in her Oscar speech. And I was like, that's wild that,
yeah,
networking sideways is the thing. And that's what I would say to any performer. It's like, I know we show up, we all want the big, whatever it is. It's like the key to this game is network sideways, because the people that are around you are the ones that are going to come up with you and the ones that are going to help you get to where you need to go. Yeah.
That is beautiful mentorship level advice, Troy, because, and I think what was so interesting, the way you phrased that is you said by sideways, you mean your cohorts, because they're going to be moving up the way you're going to be moving up. And you want to know those people who are moving up, because when they move up, they can bring you along. Yes. and you can bring them along. I think that as young men in particular, it's very hard for us to believe in each other and believe in ourselves when we're young, that we're going to get to that place. And instead, instinctively, we look for the mentor who's 10 or 15 years older and say, he's going to get me there. When it's
going to save me. Yes.
Right. Yeah. In actuality, the mentors are all around you. They're just your age.
Yeah. They really are. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, actually, I think I heard one time Kevin Hart or someone like that, or somebody was like, look, everyone writes me saying, hey, I want to pitch this idea to you, or let's, hang out, or let's be friends. And he said, I have my friends, and those are the people that were in the nightclubs with us when we had no money. We all came up together. We all, were in these places when they wouldn't book us, or when they would only book this one person and not that person. It's like, we came up together. And he was like, find people around you and build with them. So
build with them. That's actually a really interesting lesson for all of life. You don't have to be in the performing arts to do that, right? As you're a young person, you know, there is a cohortness to a generation, right? There is people that you're working with, and these are the people that you're growing up with and building life with. And also importantly, Troy, these are the people who are actually going to be building the future. I mean, I look at my kids right now and they're in their early 20s, and I'm like, team, you are the ones that are going to be making big, huge decisions for the country and for the world in the next 5 to 10, 15 years. You're going to be the ones raising your own children. Right. So that next generation is actually responsibility goes to you for that. And I don't think, and I love it that you put a pin on that, because I don't think people recognize, especially young men, recognize the value of the network that they have around them at the time.
Yes. Mm-hmm. No. And you don't, because you think, I mean, I was there. I just told you guys, like, I thought that same thing. I'm like, not you. You're the production assistant. It's like, no, that person ends up being the assistant, and then they become the producer, and then they become the director, or however it goes.
Right.
So it's like, no, that's the person.
That's the person to know, right? And I think what happens then is we start getting older. So, when you're in your 20s, you have that aspiration to be somebody that you see. And as you started to grow into your performance career, did you have a model for who you wanted to be like, or were you just trying to be the best Troy that you could be, or did you have a vision of who you wanted to be versus maybe modeling off of someone else?
Honestly, I should have had a model, but I didn't. I didn't know to have one. I was really in a space of like, I just want to make this work. And what do I have to do to make this work? What do I have to do to, still be my authentic self, but make this, music thing go?
Yeah. So you got a record label, yeah?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Congratulations. Yeah. That's fantastic. It's worthy of congratulations. It is. So tell me about that. Are you still connected with the band that you were with? Are you still with them? Where is that?
Yeah, so I'm not connected with them, but that was another at the end. And I know that hopefully this is helping someone out there. It was at another end of a dark night of the soul. I had we were playing bands. We were playing music around LA. We were packing out places like, the Roxy, the Troubadour, the Viper Room. Like, agents were coming to see us from record companies, and it was standing room only, so much so that some of my friends couldn't get in because we were selling it out, just to give you an idea
of
how I was doing. Yeah, well, that's what I thought. And then I went to the meeting with the A&R guys the next day, and they were like, yeah, we just don't get it. We don't understand, like where we would put you and all this other stuff. And I'm sitting there going, what do I have to do? It's like, clearly, like, we're doing well because these places are filling up and blah, blah, blah. And I was at a point where, like, I don't know what else to do. Maybe I'll just, I can't give up, but it's like, I don't know what else to do. And I was playing the show, and one of the people that were in the audience just happened to be coming in that day. They were just out with friends. They didn't know me from anything. They're like, my friend is starting a record label, and I think he would really enjoy what you guys do. And it was the end of, right after, I was meeting with Maverick Records. I was meeting with Virgin. I was meeting with, John Sally, who's the Detroit Pistons. He was starting a record label, and he was like, I saw him a couple months ago, and he was like, I was talking to Madonna about your band, and I remember, like, we just couldn't, get the funding. So it was at the end of, everything should have been working, but it wasn't. But I kept going, and, something better happened, for me in that moment.
So what was that better thing? What happened?
Yeah, so I get a record deal, and they're paying me, my stipend at the time, which they said, well, what do you need to what do you need, to live on for this kind of stuff? I was like, maybe 24 or whatever. So I'm like, I need $50,000. And like, okay. And I'm like, yes. just for any kid out there. Whenever someone asks you what you need, think of what you think would be amazing, and then like triple it or quadruple it, and then ask for that. Start there, just for anyone out there who might be going in this.
We'll be right back.
So I get this money, and and I'm like, thinking, oh, we go on tour. We're opening for Steve Miller and Government Mule.
Wow.
We're like sponsored by Levi's, and it's amazing. It was absolutely amazing, and that's why I said it's better than had I gotten a record deal with any other label, because I knew people that had one. It's like it would not have been. I would not have even seen $50,000, and I know that because I know the advances that they get usually as a new artist, and then what that actually means. So I even got a chance to be with the owner of the record company in Forbes magazine, because they were talking about him. Yeah, it was much better than anything I could have gotten, the traditional route.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Kind of sticking with it. I mean, that's the risk that you take, right? To go through, and sometimes it pays off. And what I find interesting about this is that you have this incredible experience that most people don't get. I mean, very few people get to perform on stage in a venue like that, like with Steve Miller and the like. And as you started to go through that, did you think at the time, like, oh my God, I'm so lucky, this is awesome? Or did you think at the time, oh, this is where I should be? I mean, were you feeling like you were where you needed to be and where you belonged?
I felt like I was where I needed to be, but I don't think I've ever had a moment in this whole journey where I was like, okay, I'm good. I think every time I've been like a little bit nervous, a little bit scared, a little bit like, because Steve Miller, it's like we play instruments, but those guys play like for real.
Yeah.
Like licks and chords that you're like, couldn't do that. We can't. I mean, I couldn't make that happen. And they're playing it like they're just playing and looking around like, oh, okay, whatever. And you're like going, the audience doesn't know that what you're doing is unbelievable, because you're just like looking at your watch. It's like, but as a musician, I was like, do y'all see what's happening on stage?
Yeah, know what this is all about? You can't see this?
Right. But they're happy as long as they can say, some people call me a space cowboy. They're like, yeah!
No, exactly. I'm like, they don't really understand the craft of it, right? No. And what's interesting, what you just said, though, is the sense of, I think, the way I was reading it, is that the innate sense of insecurity. Right? And I have to, this is a theory I can't prove, but and I'll put it in context. So I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and it's very much an industry town, right? It's not a performance town. And, it was built on, of course, in the steel industry and then it moved into maybe technology or education and the like. But that sense of industry in a city creates an atmosphere, a culture, kind of a groundedness, a humbleness, right? Like I said, if even if you're the top dog or the toppest dog of all the top dogs in Pittsburgh,
right,
bro, that's Pittsburgh. I mean, come on, right? It's Pittsburgh. You can't get heirs, right? You just can't because you're in Pittsburgh, right? But there's a solidity that happens when there's a history of industry that is persistent. Right. That, and it's not even a cliche, but true. Generations of people would work for the same company in Pittsburgh. Right. It was just there. Meanwhile, in Los Angeles, a big part of the industry is the performance industry. And that is a gig industry. It's from one thing to the next. It's, whether you're a writer or a production assistant, a PA or a director or a musician or an actor or an actress, or, you're going from one to the next. There's no solidity to it. There's no groundedness.
Right.
And you're nodding your head like, yeah, because I have to believe that creates a tension and an insecurity even within the city and everybody living in it, because everyone is in a tenuous situation. Am I reading that right? Again, it's a theory I can't prove.
Oh no, it's proven. It's real. It is very real. Um, yeah, it's like, just because you have, an Oscar or a Grammy or whatever, it's like, yay, we can celebrate on the stage for a moment, but we got to go on to the next because, that's now the past. So it's very real that, hey, it's from gig to gig. And you're like, even if you're, on, I think I saw, Kiki Palmer did an interview the other day, and someone was asking her, "It's like, you're Kiki Palmer, you've done all these shows and whatever." She's like, "They're like, how do you feel like when you go through the auditions?" She goes, "I make my own stuff now because I couldn't get all the roles that I needed, so I started producing my own things." She goes, "This is life as an
Right.
actor or musician, whatever out here. It's like you go from gig to gig and you make it happen every time, sometimes once a year, once a month, whatever it is." So
Right. And that
yeah.
there's that lack of security. I mean, I remember even an interview with Amy Adams when she did
Yeah.
Enchanted. She had been in a couple movies, but she auditioned for Enchanted and she was just the number. Like she was like 4205. Like that's how she got the role. It wasn't because she was Amy Adams and had done other stuff before. And so to me
Yeah.
then, what is that when you build community in Los Angeles, what does that do? I'm curious, Troy, because does that mean like your cohort, like when you were 20s, or Octavia said, "Hey, I'm going to network and we're going to all hold hands and be with each other," or is it, well, I'm going to let go of you and hold on to this person because you can't help me, but this person can? Does it bring people
Mhm.
together or does it splinter them away?
It teaches you how to be something that I tell my kids and anyone who asks, how do you do this stuff, successfully. And it teaches you to care about other people and to see how can I contribute to,
Mhm.
someone else,
How you can
because you're
help.
right. It's like, yeah, because that's what it is. It's like we're in survival mode in these moments. And it's like, how can I help this person when I don't need anything? You've seen the show, and then how can they help me when I do? You've seen these shows where people are like, the Godfather says, "Gonna call in a favor."
Right, right.
That's what it is. Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
I love that idea that you said, and maybe it's you. I don't know if it's true, but I think from you operate, it seems to me, from a help first mentality,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
And I think that's really good. I would, I don't know if that's true for everybody though
Mm.
in Los
No,
Angeles,
it's not. It's not.
right? So
But
how did you arrive at that perspective of life? I mean, a lot of people, Troy, could have said, I'm in survival mode, but and for me, you
mm,
do you. Good luck to you. I'm going to focus on me. But instead, you're like, no, I'm going to look around and see where I can help. Where did that come from?
it comes on the other side of that dark night, man. The dark night of the soul, man. It's like when you've been in the valley, when you've missed a phone bill, so your phone shut off, or you missed the light bill, so you got to wait till the light company gets back to work at 8 a.m. to make some kind of payment arrangement, or you when you've suffered and been at that low point, you gain immediate compassion for anyone and everyone, because it's like,
Mm-hmm.
that stuff that's hard.
It's
And
terrifying.
for me anyway, it created such a compassion, and like, I don't want anyone else to suffer from the same things that I suffered from. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of been my, I guess, response to, having the tough times. It's like, how do I help you not go through that? How do I help you avoid that pothole?
Yeah, and I
You know?
think that that's you though, because there are a lot of people
Mhm.
who, if say, I've paid my dues, you got to pay your dues, kid. But instead, you emotionally recognize the terror of not knowing I mean, gosh, I see your face right now. You still remember that tear, right? That gets into your heart, right?
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. I still remember, right before I had the whole thing of getting another job at Disney and then moving into rent, my car getting repossessed because I had missed monthly payments for like 3 to 4 months.
Ugh.
And they repossessed my car, and I was trying to find work, and now I don't have a car in LA. How am I going to find work?
You can't. You have to have a car to survive in Los Angeles. Oh my God.
Yeah, I still remember that. Yeah.
Oh, so oh my but you glossed over it, but I want to wind back just a moment. You just said you were on Rent, so you did Rent.
Yeah.
Where'd you go for Rent?
Yes.
Was it on Broadway?
Yeah, I did Rent on Broadway. Did Tom Collins, which was so fun. It was
How long were you there doing that?
I was there for a year. Yeah.
Now that is awesome. So tell me about that experience, because we go to the theater a lot. San Diego's got a pretty good theater presence here. We actually get a lot of talent from Los Angeles to come down and work.
Yeah.
So at the Old Globe, they had a production recently, which was awesome. And we got out of there, and these performers just worked their hearts out. They were awesome, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, we just saw the afternoon show. They've got to do this tonight. They got to do this in another 3 hours. And then they got to do this 8 times a week.
8 times a week. Yes.
So,
yes.
Bro, tell me about that. What is that like?
It's like, it's an emotional, I can speak about Rent for me. It's an emotional exercise that never really leaves the surface. Once you find that, those emotions and you tap into them, whether it's the sadness, the happiness, the connectivity, or whatever it is, it's always like right under the surface, because you're doing it 8 times a week. And at any moment, it's like you feel, I feel today, I can still feel every emotion that came with that role.
Wow. Now, do you then live that? Because it seems to me, if you're doing it 8 days a week, it becomes your life. And there's no separation between the role and your life at that point, right?
Right. Yeah.
What a year that must have been.
It was something. Ooh, you see, Chris, you have me like, I'm getting ready to tear up right now. I was like, no, it was something. No, pull it back.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man, because it's like the "I'll Cover You" reprise when Collins loses Angel. It's like that. There's so many things, man.
Yeah.
There's so many things that kind of happen like in life that it was something. It was something. See, it's like it's real, man. It's like it's part of your life, I think, forever. So
it has to be. And I at that, but to me, Troy, I think at that level, I mean, it doesn't get bigger than Rent on Broadway. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't. And so to perform at the level that you're responsible for, right? I mean, Rent on Broadway, it doesn't matter if it's Tuesday or Saturday at matinee, right? Or if it's Friday night that people have saved up forever to go see.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, there's a responsibility that you've got. And I don't know how you can perform at that emotional level, making those characters so real and visceral, unless you pull that character into your life and you live that and feel that life.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're connected to everyone on stage. It's like, after a few performances, it's like, we're really family up there. It's like the people are cast very close to the actual character. And so, we actually do have those, connections with each other on and off screen. It's like, or off screen, off stage. Yeah.
But I think that for you, because although we've known each other for 42 minutes and 20 seconds or so, you seem to me inherently a very loving person.
Mm.
Like you come out with love first. So that role, I mean, come on, that role is imperfect for you, right?
Yeah, I guess so. And that's why it was so much a part, it became so much a part of me. It's like, yeah, it's, I can totally identify with Collins and that whole thing. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you have the benefit of getting a bit older, right? You can look back at that young Troy being that young Collins. What do you, when you look back at your young Troy, and if your young Troy could look at you now, what kind of conversation would you have?
The one thing I would tell him is trust yourself and trust yourself. It's like so many times I did it anyways, but I was afraid and I thought maybe, what if that person's right? Or what if, well, free with Rent, it's like, I auditioned for it and they offered me the tour. And I said to them, I can't do the tour because I just had a 2-year-old and I don't want to be on the road away from him. And everyone was like, you ruined it. It's like, that's how you get into the show. You do the tour and then you move up. And I was like, I can't, I said, and I told Beth from Telsey, she changed my life, and I'm really grateful to her for that. But I said, I want to do something that sits down if it's possible, but I can't do the tour. And she goes, the only thing we have that sits down is the Broadway show in New York. And I go, well, if something opens up there, I'd love to do it, but otherwise I'm going to have to pass. And she was like, okay. I'm sure not all people do that,
Wow.
But a month later, I was standing on the stage at Nederlander in New York, because I, was just really intentional about that first, I think. And so, yeah.
Well, it goes back actually to the very first thing you said, Troy, in the very first minute of our conversation. You said your husband, father, entrepreneur, performer, you already put your family as the first things of your priority. And so that was a really interesting decision that you made. A lot of people wouldn't have made that decision either. A lot of them, right? Because that sense of insecurity or hunger, I've got to focus on my career. Honey, I know this is hard, but this is what I got to do. That was a really interesting choice. Did you like feel like that was the right thing to do? Like, did you subconsciously listen to the universe, or how did you say, you know what? No, this is what I really want. I'm really curious about the thinking on that, or if it wasn't thinking, if it was just feeling.
No, there was. I've been very intentional about wanting to be home and wanting to be around my family. And this is, because my dad, who he was a truck driver when we were kids. And so that's how he helped us, that's how he contributed and helped us, live the life that we had. But being a truck driver, in the 80s and 90s, he was on the road for,
Sure.
months at a time. And I was like, as a kid, I missed my dad. And I was like, I still talked to him on the phone. He still came home and brought, beef jerky was my big thing, back in the day from wherever he went. And, but I was very intentional that as an adult, I want to be able to be around, my kids. So
that's awesome. That's an interesting thing that you knew at that time when the script was flipped, and instead of thinking about sonhood, you think about fatherhood, and what that shows your kids based on the choices that you made. And I guarantee you that those kids know where your priorities are because you lived it. Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing. So you've got now, how many children do you have?
3. Yeah. 2 boys and a girl. Yeah.
2 boys and a girl. And they're in the later teens, young adultish.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
and the girl actually wants to do music and art. So I'm like, hey, someone I can, so maybe give some advice to.
Hopefully she'll listen to the advice, right? Maybe. So when you tell them the stories of, and they know that you were in the performance world, when you tell them this life, do they just think, oh, that's just my dad? like this guy's dad is in software. This guy's dad is, works in a pharmacy. This guy's dad is a truck driver. This guy's dad's a plumber. My guy dad is a performer. Like, do they think that that's special and unique, or do they just think that's just you?
They think, oh, it's just a thing. That's my dad, whatever. It's kind of funny. I saw this one lady interviewing Joe Flacco's kid, who, we're on a guy, but so Joe Flacco, right?
Yeah.
So his kid's sitting there, and he's like, "What do you think about
I'm from Pittsburgh. I know who Joe Flacco is. He's put knives in my kidney for decades." But carry on.
Oh, that's awesome. So this lady's asking his kid, like, "What do you think? Like, your dad's like Joe Flacco. He's done this, that, and the other." And he's like, Joe Flacco's kid is like, he's all right. He's like, what? He's like, I mean, he's okay. He's not great. I'm like, that's the relationship that,
right.
we all have with our kids.
Right. Like, that's how it goes. And so what are those lessons you're trying to teach your kids? I mean, you've learned so much about resilience, about building cohorts, about, really trusting yourself, especially when you externally said, I got no reason to trust myself. Shit, my car got repossessed. Why am I trusting myself? But you did. So what kind of, do you overtly tell them these things, or does it come up in conversation? I'm curious.
Yeah, I tell them, look, you are young right now. You can have anything that you can envision. The thing that you have to know is that it's not easy. There are going to be hard times. There are going to be times where you're like, oh my gosh, is this, worth it? Or can I do it? Do it anyway, is what I tell them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's a place where, the avoidance of risk, I think, is a real problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
If you don't take the risk, then you never know how you can grow. There's, and a lot of parents, I think, want to, unwisely shelter their kids from risk.
Yeah.
So what kind of risks do you see your kids taking? And for you, what's an acceptable risk or not?
I see them sometimes taking the risks that they need, but I know that for them, and I'm just going to be, full disclosure here, I need to I'm learning to get out of the way of some of the train wrecks that are coming towards them. And I can see, as parents, you can see them a mile away. You're like, oof, this is going to sting.
Right.
But you got to allow for it to happen, because that's when they grow. So for them, it's like my daughter, she said, my life is pretty cush. And I'm like, yeah, we need to change that, because you want to be, this person. Is like, you got to know what it's like to struggle. You got to know what it's like to not get and not have. And so the risks, honestly, right now are pretty minimal, but my goal is to increase those. My oldest son, he's taking lots of risks right now, and he has been in high school, and they've been really paying off for him. So he's grown a lot. But the ones that are home, because they're still home, I've kind of been a little coddly, I guess. I can admit that.
Yeah. Well, that's a natural thing. With with our girls, I don't say we coddled them, but they always knew that they could come home. Yeah. Like, they always knew they could come home, period. And I left home when I was 18. I went to college, and then I ended up going to San Diego at 22, just across the country. And I remember looking at my checkbook. I had $35 in my checking account. And I'm like, okay, now granted, I was living at my brother's apartment because he was in deployment, but I still had to buy groceries, right? I still had to eat, right? And so there's a time when I was like, okay, like you said, you got to figure it out. With our kids, as I'm getting older, I'm trying to figure out how to not be an active parent.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm
100%.
Right. And I want to be the parent that they can ask questions, and I'm always here to answer questions, but I don't want to be the parent that says you should, or
Right.
maybe right, and to get in, and so I have a hard time with that, because then at the same time I don't want them to, get to a place where if they talk to me or I could help them avoid some of these train wrecks,
Mm.
that I didn't do that, right, and then I was like, oh shoot, I could
Mm.
have helped them. So I struggle with that naturally.
Oh, we all do. But I was reading this story about The Rock. Everyone knows like Dwayne The Rock Johnson, right?
Yeah.
He's sitting there and he tells the story about how he became a wrestler, which then led to him being a blockbuster movie person, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, he got an offer to play professional football in Calgary or something like that. And he said he just knew in his heart that it was time to stop doing that. And he hung up the phone and he told his dad, Rocky Johnson, the original Rock or whatever, that I'm not doing it anymore. I'm going to go into wrestling. I want to go into the business. And he said, his dad said, what business? And he goes, the wrestling business. And he was like, his dad was like, you are throwing it all away. This is the worst mistake you will ever make in your life. His dad's like, because he cares about him.
Yeah.
He wants to, but had he not like gotten out of the way and had The Rock not said, no, I'm doing this. And then his dad said, you know what? Okay, I'm going to train you. I'm going to teach you to all the things, but this is horrible. We wouldn't know The Rock.
Yeah.
He had to go and find his own way, despite, his parents saying, this is not it,
Yeah. Finding your own way, it is that is kind of the beautiful thing, right? It's that hero's journey, Troy, right? You go into the wilderness, you don't exactly know what's going to be in the wilderness. No, you don't know what's in there, but you've got to figure it out yourself, because no one can tell you what's in the woods.
No. And they can tell you what their map looks like, but everyone's map is different.
Right.
So they can tell you like, hey, if you see this branch, it's poison ivy, don't touch it. So if you happen to see the branch, then you know that. But it's like, you still got to navigate your way through the woods on your own, with your own.
Yeah. And I think that especially for men too, there is instinctive, whatever, need to provide. Right. So it's like, okay, I've got, come on, dude. We've got to provide. I might be able to go to the wilderness. That's fine. But I got to be able to figure out how to hunt. I've got to be able to figure out how to, provide for family, because that is my responsibility as man and father. I still believe that that's a true thing we feel.
Right. Yeah. Well, you know what I would say to those guys, and being one of those guys, and this is really hard to do, but life is sometimes, on the other side of those difficult moments. Sure. I'm not saying ever negate your responsibilities, but every time that I've leaped or leaned into the thing that was that dream that was unrealistic, unreasonable, I ended up being able to provide more emotionally and financially than I was by staying with the thing that I thought was, the safer way to do it. So I know that's hard and it's hard to wrap your mind around, but it's like, there is, in my experience, this is my wilderness, but it can maybe be yours too. Mm-hmm. There is gold in those dreams and those aspirations that you have.
I love that. Also too, Troy, you teach your kids not to settle.
Yeah.
You teach your kids not to play it safe, not to settle, because you're so worried about what might happen, instead of saying, no, I'm going to pursue this because I think it's the right thing for me to do. And I feel like it's what I need to do. And lo and behold, when you do it, to provide even more for your family than you would otherwise, that just proves that you were right, that you could trust yourself.
Yeah. Well, there's this book by this ex-hospice nurse named Bronnie Ware. I don't know if you've read, but she says the top 5 regrets of the dying, right? Number 1 regret that she heard from people while she was a hospice nurse was, I wish I would have lived the life that I wanted to live and not the life that I thought others expected of me. That is number 1. That's great. And that's at a point where you can't do anything about it. We have a time to do something about it. So it's like, if we know that's the cycle, we owe it to ourselves to break that cycle,
Right.
To at least try.
There was this one, I think I'm going to say it wrong, but you get the idea where it's a Confucius quote, and he says, we all have two lives. We have a life, and then we have another life when we realize it's the only life we have.
That is so true. Because I think we walk around thinking that, this is an option. We have more time. We have, it's like we get tomorrow, we get next month, we get next week, and like you were saying that quote, the best gift we have is when we realize this is it. Like this is it. Like this is your at bat. There is no second at bat as far as we know. This is it. So whatever you're going to do, you might want to give it a shot. You might want to swing a couple times.
That's right. That's right. Do it with the sense of, a fearlessness about it, right? A life without fear is something where it's very hard to get, very hard to embrace. Well, you've been amazing. I have freaking loved this conversation with you.
I have too. This has been fun.
Cool.
This has been really cool.
So my last question for you, Troy, is who is someone you know that I don't know that I should know?
Someone that you don't know that you should know. Ooh. That is a very good question. Oh, actually, as soon as that you asked that, and do I have it around here? I don't. But oh my gosh, I can't remember his name now. I can't think of Reverend Ike. That's his name. I don't know why that came to me. So Reverend Ike is like this guy from the 70s, right? And he's like a person that taught in the 70s and 80s that your mind can create anything you want, and you can, change your life by the things that you think and stuff like that. So I would say he's someone that's lost, I think, to everyone for a large portion of the population.
Huh.
But Reverend Ike is someone that I would say just, have him be a part of your world for a minute or two.
I am going to absolutely Google and find YouTube and find Reverend Ike.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's something, yeah.
Dude, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And I appreciate you. So thank you so much. I really hope we get to keep in touch. Maybe we can do this again.
I would love that. That would be really cool. Yeah.
All right.
I would love that. That'd be awesome.
All right. Well, I call you my friend, Troy. So my friend, have a wonderful evening. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, man. Troy Horne. God, what a dude. What a man. What a man with such a huge heart, right? He's like one of the biggest hearts of anyone I've talked to in terms of his capacity to open up his emotions and make sure that when he goes on stage or when he did perform, that he put his whole emotional core into his role several times a day, multiple days a week, and really leaned into a career that was a calling. Brilliant talent, and went after it and trusted himself, right? I thought that was so poignant when his folks said, hey, we'll believe in you, but we won't support you financially. You can make it on your own. And boy, he had to go through some tough times, and he had to learn a lot about who he was and what he was all about and what he was willing to do to push his life forward. So what did I learn from Troy? Man, I learned to trust myself. I learned to figure out that I can dig deep, and then when my back's against the wall, I can actually trust the person that I'm staring at in the mirror to get me through. Like he did. I think he's an incredible man with an amazing journey, and I'm so glad that he went for his life the way he did. And now he's at the next stage, the next chapter. A father of almost young adults, moving on to his next role, right? His next path as entrepreneur and writer and as father of young adults. And I'm sure he's going to be trusting himself as he takes himself through these next chapters. I'm looking forward to learning more. Hopefully we can have another conversation. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Visit menfolkjourneys.com and book a conversation. I'd love to talk with you too and learn more about your journey. Weird Bit Falarid.